Hi everybody, always into something. Today we're going to be changing out a garbage disposal. Um, just wanted to share this. This is a pretty straightforward thing. Even if you don't feel real comfortable with plumbing, this is one of the more simpler installs. It's a little intimidating. There's a couple quirky things, but it's really basically very easy. It's not high risk. You're only dealing with drainage. There's no chance of a serious water leak that you would get even installing something as common as a faucet. But I'm going to replace this with a little bit different model. If you replace them with exactly the same model, there's some shortcuts you can take. I'll note those, but for the most part, I'm going to do a complete change out, reinstall a new flange and everything on this. So first things first, let me get a bucket here. We're going to catch some water on this P-trap and we'll get started on this thing. All right, this is just a quick shot of what I think everything that I'll need to install this. So you just got 2 screwdrivers, a flat and a Phillips, channel locks. The other items all come with the disposal. So this is the flange that comes with the disposal. There's a new drop that comes out that goes into your P-trap, the cover, and then a sink strainer, and then you'll need a little bit of plumber's putty I just balled up. And let's get started on this install. All right, let's get started. First things first, let's unplug it. Grab yourself a little bucket to catch this water in the P-trap. Not going to get a lot, but you're going to get a little bit. Just loosen that compression nut all the way up. Same back there. Let's pull this down just a little bit. Set that aside. Let's get this water out of here. Don't pour it back in the sink. It'll just end up coming back out on you. Alright. What was going on with my disposal is it was literally dripping from the bottom. So, it wasn't a plumbing connection that you could just fix. It was leaking out of the bottom. Alright. Next, go up top and start disassembling. Just remove this hose clamp. And we might need our bucket just in case here. There's not always water in these, but sometimes there is. A little bit. Okay, once that drains, you shouldn't get any more. Just kind of set that off to the side. And I did have a band that came off of that. This is the flange that goes on. This bottom ring, it just spins off of here. And I'm just going to take a screwdriver to kind of get this started. There's a notch that's on that I just crossed over. I'm going to make a little snippet and attach it later. But this bottom ring just spins off of there. So support the bottom while you're loosening the top. Spin that off of there. And you just uninstalled your disposal. All right, with your old disposal out, there's a couple things you are going to need. So here's that top compression nut that went onto the P-trap. Let's go ahead and take that off, set that aside. We'll need that later. And then unless you bought a new power cord for your new disposal, you'll need to take off your old one. So this is pretty straightforward. Some of that water running out of there. And the green obviously just is your ground. Pull these out of here. I always try to look and see that each one of these wires, one has a groove side that has several grooves, one side's nice and smooth. I try to just note that to make sure I install it right. Electrical is not one of my things. So the white went to the smooth side, the ground went to the groove side. Save these wire nuts, take that out, and we're done with this. I'm going to throw it out. Alright, so you don't have to always remove this flange, but to make my wife happy and have a nice shiny sink strainer, I'm just going to go ahead and replace this flange. If you, like I said, if you bought a similar one, this will probably work, and I know this will work with the one that I'm changing out. But again, I'm just going to do the full change out, and it also helps you guys too. This is just a Phillips screw head. You see them just backing off, and all they do is that just tightens up against your sink. And then once you've got that exposed, there's a ring in here that's got to come out. And this is probably one of the more finicky little pieces. Oops. Let's see, here's the opening. All it does is that ring just snaps into that groove. When the new one will have to do the same thing. So it just snaps right in there. So remove that, you can do that. And then we just push the old one out. Alright, here we are from the top side. Here's the old one. The new one, nice and shiny. So she'll like that. So we just want to go ahead and get all of this old putty out. If it gives you a fit, you can get something, just depending on your sink type. You don't want to scratch anything in there, but we definitely want to get all of that out of there. So you get a good seal. If you leave any of that, it can cause you not to have such a good fit. All right, then we're just going to take a little bit of our putty. You want to knead it. And then we're just going to place it around the bottom of this. Just push it around there, get a good seal. Okay, and then we're just going to drop that right back in. Give it a good press. And it should stay in place for us. Alright, now that we're back underneath, we're going to go ahead and install the rest of this. You'll see that there's a cardboard gasket here, which just protects as it seats up against the top of the sink, the bottom of the flange, which tightens down, and our fun little snap ring. So let's all put this together now. This is one of the hardest part. I'm probably going to lay on my back. And that snap ring is back in place. And now to tighten down on these. You want to get these fairly tight, because this is subject to some vibration and stuff from the disposal. So just gonna go around and tighten these evenly. Don't over tighten one. Just kind of go around. Okay, that's pretty snug. Okay, there's that. All right, with anything, always, I'm going to say always review the instructions. This disposal is just a tad bit different than the one that I removed. But with any new disposal, well, I'm going to go through while I'm looking at the bottom here. So if you do have a disposal and it stops running, there is a reset. If something gets jammed up in here, most disposals come with this little device, and it inserts into the bottom. And if you do have a jam and it did cause your breaker to trip, you can use this to spin it underneath and it'll break that loose, and then you can test to see if it resets. And 90% of the time unless you've got some internal damage and it's ruined, that should reset everything. So the next thing, and this is common with almost all disposals, is where your dishwasher goes, there's a built-in cap. So this cap is inside there. Just take my word for it. And that's how we're going to remove it. We're going to literally tap it out with the screwdriver. Make sure you can see this. And I'm just going to use some pliers. Once you do get it knocked out, either shake the disposal upside down or whatever, but you want to definitely get that out of there because it will make noises and stuff. There's a little bit left. Okay. Now to put our tailpiece in off of this. Some of these have two holes. It'll have a retention bracket that comes over a compression ring, and you'll have to tighten them down. This one's a little different. Just pops in there. And that's all there is to that. I've already rewired this again, so that's all set. So let's set this thing in place. So I just wanted to get a shot of this while the disposal's out, just so you can see what I'm talking about. But right here, you'll see there's a little notch in this that's built up that kind of locks that in place. So it's much easier to see now out of the sink. And then what you got to do, what I do is I just take some channel locks and I squeeze these together, and it pulls up over that notch. I'm almost there. And then it locks in. And then see how on that side now it's sticking out, that notch, and that locks that in. And if you don't have that locked, that disposal can come loose and fall down, and that's about the biggest risk. Other than that, all the plumbing is pretty straightforward, and this isn't a huge risk at all. You just need to make sure that gets installed all the way forward. So as we go to install this thing, I just want to show you there are 3 tabs around the top of this disposal, and those tabs need to insert right into this. See how that's kind of shaped? and it's shaped like almost like an actual screw. It's bigger here and then it tightens up. So we're going to set that notch right there, turn the whole disposal to get this started, and then we'll lock it in place. So let me get this thing slid up there. Okay. Alright, and this is where I use the channel locks just to make it a little easier, and just hear it lock in. You got to make sure that that's locked in and that all sides are nice and tight. We're there. Okay, great. All right, let's go ahead and finish hooking up our drainage. So this is our compression nut. That little ferrule needs to be facing the wedge shape down toward the connection. Just get that in place. Grab our P-trap. You can turn this a little bit. Don't hurt anything. Again, I'm just reusing the parts we had for the P-trap. Doesn't hurt if you want to give these a little snug. A lot of times hand tight's more than enough, but just a little snug doesn't hurt anything. And let's go ahead and put our disposal drain back on. Again, this is all left over from the other installation, or the old one. Just going to put it right on there. Okay, get that nice and tight. Let's go up top. You see where we tightened everything down, our putty kind of oozed out. So let's just clean this up a little bit. And let's these should come with pretty much every disposal, and just when you're grinding food, it keeps it from kind of squirting all over the place, jumping out. Yep. Could probably do this a little easier with two hands, but okay. And that's just the strainer, whether you want it or not. And let's test it. All right, the last thing to do here, plug this in. We'll start the water test. Let some water run down it. Make sure all these fittings are good and tight, not leaking. This is a pretty straightforward install, and you can do this. Definitely would save you $200, maybe $300 on a plumbing service call, and this is very much a do-it-yourself kind of thing. Everything looks good. Tested the power. Everything looks like that's working. I'll go ahead and let this water run for a few minutes. I don't know if I said anything about this mat earlier, but when I did have my leak on the other disposal, I had just got this mat like 2 weeks ago. I had some window cleaner and we didn't know, and it was leaking, and you can see what it did to the bottom of our cabinets. So I ended up buying this mat, and I kind of lucked out when I did, because the other disposal, it leaked and it filled this. This has a curb or a dam around it, and it saved my base cabinet because it leaked for probably 4 or 5 days and I didn't even know it. And this held the water. So Amazon special, but for 25, 30 bucks, saved our base cabinet. That's just an FYI. I did make a video on that as well. If you want to look at that, it comes on after this. But that's a disposal install. So I'm just going to clean that up a little bit more, but that's it. And again, like I say, you can do this. Hopefully this helped. Please like and subscribe if it did. If you got any questions, shoot them at me. I'll try to help you out. But look back for another video, because we're always into something.